Hello, hello, hello. Let me make sure I can hear myself nice and loud. Testing, 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 1, 2. Yes, I can. All right, we'll be starting very soon. Just need to prepare everything as usual. Fluff around for the first few minutes. All right, good, good, good. Some comments already in YouTube. I'll take these off. I'm still a bit undecided if I'll do a live stream next week because it's like smack bang. What is it? Christmas is on Wednesday, Friday. I can't, so maybe Thursday night my time anyway. I'll see. All right. So, starting very soon. All right, that is looking good. Everything is looking good. All right. I think we are good to go. Record. No, that's the wrong app. All I need to do is and start this one. Okay. We are. There we go. Well, this one, domain access. All right. Okay. Excuse me. All right. So the feed is running. Well, it's working, which is good. Okay. That one's working. This one there. And this chat needs to go here. All right. All right. Okay, I think we can start. Let's transition over to the other one, the other scene, just to make sure my camera's correct. Is that? Yeah, I'm center on. All right, perfect. Mic nice and close. I'm good to go. All right, cool. So we might as well get started because we have a few things to cover. Okay. Resize this. All right, let's start. Hello and welcome to this live stream where we'll cover how to get started using the domain access module. Well, it's called just domain, but everyone knows it as domain access. Now, what is this module? Well, this module essentially allows you to control access based off the domain, hence the name domain or domain access. So what it does is that it provides a suite of modules, so submodules within it, and you can control the module to show or hide content based off the incoming domain. So there are a ton of use cases for this module. One of them being um, the ability to create a portfolio of sites and also share content across these sites. So that's kind of the most common use case of using domain access. And here you can see on the project page an example on how it is on how you would use it. You can actually point fully qualified domains, subdomains to it. But another thing that you would use it for is if you have a website where you want to have multiple tenants. So if you do have some type of SaaS application that you've built in Drupal and you want to allow multiple tenants, and what that means is that you have multiple groups of people using the same website where it's the one Drupal instance. Very important. The one Drupal instance, one database, and where everyone can just log in, but they only see content based off the URL that's coming in. So that's the important part, hence the name domain access. Now, to further explain this, I did create a few slides. Now, I personally don't like seeing slides, but there are a few things that I want to mention. Okay, so that's the module, domain, grab it, have a play with it. This is the example that I want to show you. So just imagine having any type of domain just pointed to the same Drupal instance. And then if you configure domain access, you can then control the access to content on the site based off the domain. So that's pretty much just the gist of it. Now, Drupal does have multi-site. That's where you can set up the same code base and then you can configure either a different database. Well, 9 times out of 10 in that type of setup, you will have a different database, but you have a single code base. Now, there's pros and cons for that. Absolutely. One being that, yep, databases are separate. That's good. Okay. You know, that's a good thing. Databases are separate, but the code base is the same. So you can then only maintain a single code base. Now, when it comes to sharing content, see, a lot of times in my experience, this has always come up whenever the client hears, "Oh, I want to share content across multiple websites. I want to have a whole, farm of websites uh, that are pretty much identical, but just with different different pages." And so you do have domain access as one solution. You have multi-site as another one. Um, Now, a third solution, which is popular these days, is to just go headless and control everything through APIs. That gives you the most flexibility, but also it's the most amount of work because you have to build a whole front end for it. Now, let me talk about the caveats when it comes to using domain access. So let's jump back to, where is it? Domain access here. In my experience, this is where, I pull out my experience about using Drupal. In the beginning, when you start off a project, the client will always say, "Oh yeah, we want to spend the money to build one website and then spin up multiple sites, and we want to share content." And that's one of the requirements that you get. And then you're like, "All right, good, good, good. We have domain access." But then you need to explain to the client that we can use domain access. However, when you start um, asking for requests where you want website A to be slightly different to website B, depending on the customization that you're asking for, it can be either easy or hard. We don't know, how difficult that customization could be because and this has happened a few times where we've set up domain access in the beginning. Everything was fine for 6 months. Then the client or customer started asking for changes to one specific website. Okay. So then we'll go ahead and modify it. Then they started asking for more complex changes to that one particular website. Okay. And then over time, they just kept asking for more and more and more to the point where it just became cheaper and easier to just fork the websites and then have two separate installs and essentially have two separate websites. But then what happens is you have two separate websites to maintain and you're doubling the work because every single time there's a Drupal security update, you're quickly, patching two extra websites. And then a year later, they'll be like, oh, can we just clone this website and create a third website? Then you have three websites to maintain. So you have to understand that using domain access requires a bit of constraints. You have to work within its means. Okay. You have to explain this to the client that yes, it's a great suite of modules, and I do want to probably just spend a bit more time on this to really explain this. It's a great suite of modules if you work within its means, if you work within its constraints. If you want three separate websites with three separate pieces of functionality, and you just want to occasionally share content between them, do it through APIs. That's probably the easiest way of doing it. Okay, do it through APIs. But if you really want multi-tenancy, then look at using domain access. So that's just my bit of rant there because I've been bitten pretty hard by domain access in the past, where the client's like sees, oh, we can save a lot of money by using one Drupal install for everything. You can't, the websites need to be very similar, very similar. Because as soon as you start having, the other thing, as soon as you start having multiple content types, and this is where things can get a little tricky, where you want one website to have one content type, and then that content type appears in all the websites because it is one database. That's the thing they need to understand. So yeah, that's about it. So think long and hard about it. All right. All right, so we have a comment about sorry that they are late. Interested in comparison with multi-site, which is a core feature. I just finished explaining that. Pretty much the gist of it is that multi-site is used to share the same code base but multiple databases. This domain access controls access to content through the domain, and it's handled at the module level. So that's really the difference. But you should be able to actually scrub back through YouTube and just see my rant for like the last 5 minutes about just be very careful about using this and understand the limitations of it. It can bite you. It can bite you hard because it's modules bit me in the past. It's not a problem with the module itself. It's expectations from customers and how they use the module. That's what I should preface it with. This module's great, and you'll see it actually works very well. But just understanding that you are dealing with one Drupal site, one database, one instance. As soon as you start deviating from that, as soon as you want a content type that only appears on one website but not on the other, it's like, well, actually, no, it's all one Drupal site. It has to be. You have to be in that frame of mind. You always have to remember whenever new functionality comes in, it's like, okay, but how is it going to affect the other websites? Anyway, I'll stop talking now. Well, no, I won't stop talking. I'll stop talking about this and move on because we're here to do a bit of site building. All right. So right now we're going to be looking at domain access, and it comes with a suite of modules, as I mentioned. The other module that we're going to take a look at is called Domain Theme Switch, and that just allows you to have specific domains for the sites, and so you can switch between them. And that is a pretty common use case, having a separate theme for a site. You can share the same theme, and I'll show you how to make slight configurations. But this is a common use case as well. All right, so go ahead, download the site. What I've done, download the module. What I've done is I've got actually two websites here. And on the first domain, it is local. This is all local. So I've got two domains pointing to the one Drupal instance. Now, when you do set up domain access, okay, it's more than just downloading the module and installing it. You have to configure your infrastructure and you have to set up vhost properly. You need to set all that stuff up. I'm not going to cover that in this video because the way you do it really depends on how you're hosting. There's hundreds of ways of pointing domains to the same doc root and things like that. Some shared hosting only allows you to have one domain pointing to one doc root. Some allow multiple. I don't know. It's up to you. The most important thing is that when you do set up the module, okay, so go ahead and download it. I've already done it, but then jump over into the README file. And there are a few things you need to configure. Okay. So as I mentioned, you want to set up the vhosts, or if you're using Apache or Nginx, you want to point the domains to the same doc root. You also want to configure a few things in the services. Now, I'm not going to do that because I don't have to do that locally, but things like sharing cookies, if you want users to log in between different sites, you can do that stuff like that. You can set up the cores as well, the trusted host settings, and you might have issues with caching, especially caching context and things like that. So you may want to override the services.yaml and throw in the url.site service just so that the URL is always used in the actual cache context. I'm not going to cover what cache contexts are, but that just adds essentially what it is that it just adds a bit of context to any bit of caching so that whenever a piece of content is cached, it'll use the URL, so it will differentiate between the different domains. All right, so we have another comment on YouTube. Well, YouTube seems to be going off tonight, which is great. New to Drupal, super grateful for your videos. Well, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, just a bit of a side note, after next week, so next week is the final one for the whole year. That means I would have done it for I would have been doing a live stream weekly. I took a month off during summer, well, European summer, but I started at the beginning of this year. So it means a whole year of Drupal live streams. So that's just another free plug. If you want to check out all our other live streams, just jump over to our YouTube channel, WebWash YouTube channel, go to live, and you'll see all the live streams are there, all for free. Well, ad supported, but they're there. So when you're preparing to use domain access, check out the README and read through it. Trust me, read through it. All right, let's now jump over to the site. And what we're going to do is just go ahead and install it. So as I mentioned, we do have two domains. We have d-car-domain access and d-boat-domain access. Okay, just imagine they're two separate websites pointing to the one Drupal site. And you can kind of see that this is the same site. But you always need to have one primary website. Okay, that's important. So let's search for domain, and domain itself doesn't really do anything. What you want to do is install domain access. So we'll do that. Go ahead and install domain access. And it's going to go ahead and do its thing. Then what you need to do is rebuild the content access permission. And just run that. Should be relatively quick on a brand new site. If you do have hundreds and thousands of pieces of content, it might take a little longer. Now, if you go to your other websites at this point, when you have the module installed, you will get an error, okay? This is because you need to now set up the actual domains. So don't worry about this. Here, it's working. But this one is not working, okay? So what we need to do is now set up the actual domain. So go to configuration and scroll down to domains. You'll see all this down here. And if you click on domain records, we need to now set up the actual record. So we need to specify the domain. Click on add domain record. It's automatically going to pull this one in, and I'll copy that because I will need it for later. And we can give it a name, active, and it will set it as default and just set the URL schema and hit save. By default, this is the, well, by default, it is the active or default site. Click on add domain record again. I'll change this one to boat. I'll change the one to boat. So this is the second one. It is active, has a weight of 2, and then hit save. Then if we come back here, we should see a working site. Okay, good, it's working, simple. All right. If you go to domain settings, you can control a few things here. And then you can also, from domain access, you can control a few things as well from here as well. So this just allows you to configure a few things. All right, so at this point, we have just created our domain records, and that is it. Remember, we did install domain access submodule. So now we can go ahead and configure our actual access control and kind of test things out. So let's go to content and click on add content. And we'll click on add article, and we'll call this one test car article. And we'll just throw in a bunch of options right here. And what I'll need to do is actually hide myself, because here on the right-hand side, we do have domain settings. So this is an actual field. And here you specify exactly which site this content goes on. So if we select car, what do you think is going to happen? You can kind of figure it out. It should only be available for car. So let's click on save. If we come along here and hit refresh, well, we're not going to see anything. If we go to the home page, we will see it here. If we go directly, so what is that, node/1? If we go directly to node/1, we should get an access denied. Okay, simple. The other option we can do is, again, come back here, go to domain setting, and then click on boat. That means it'll be available on both car and boat. So now if we refresh, so now here we're on the boat website, we can see the test car article. Okay, so that's a very basic example of just configuring the access and displaying one piece of content across multiple websites. The other thing we can do is we can come along in here and go to add content and add in an about us page. And I'll just mention car just so that we know it's specifically for car. If we add this to the main navigation and set it to car and hit save, we're going to see it up the top here, but of course we won't see it up there. The other thing we can do is if we edit that page, and we do have this other option down here, send to all affiliates. Now, what is that? Well, just imagine you have 20 domains and you don't want to select 20 odd domains, like click 1, 2, 3, ding, 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 ding. Okay. One way of just sending it to all the websites is by selecting send to all affiliates. And that will just send it to all affiliates. Come along in here, refresh. We can now see About Us car, and it's been sent to all the affiliates. However, this functionality works differently, and I will show you that right now, because if we set up user accounts, because now what we're going to do is set up user accounts, but if we set up user accounts to only have access to a specific domain, which you want to do, if you check send to all affiliates and you haven't checked the domain specifically, that means a user who only has access to a specific domain won't be able to edit that piece of content because it hasn't been checked here under domain access. But they can still see it because it's been sent to all affiliates. The best way to explain that is by setting up user roles. So let's go ahead and do that now. So another use case, another important part of setting up domain and domain access is setting up user accounts that can only control content for one website. So for us, in our example, let's set it up so that we can only, so that we have a user account that can only modify content for this particular website. So let's go to people and roles. And what we're going to do is we're going to reuse, well, let me bring myself back in. Oh, there we go. I'll bring my image back in. We're going to reuse the content editor role. Okay, that one comes with Drupal. And I'm just looking at my notes here. There's a few things I need to, a few permissions I need to give it. All right. So let's edit the content editor role. Oh, sorry, go to permissions and scroll down until we get to domain. And you have a few options here, okay? This is, so domain is used to actually modify the domain records. That is just for trusted users. Take note of the warning. Give to trusted roles only. Important, okay? Now, domain access is what we're after. So we do have very granular control. This is one thing I love about Drupal, and also one thing I hate about Drupal, because there is nothing more annoying than, no, I'll use the word annoying. I was going to use another word, but no, there is nothing more annoying than having to redo permissions in Drupal, because it gives you a lot of control, like Drupal's permission system, but you can spend a lot of time. You can spend a lot of time fiddling around with the permissions. So domain access gives you the ability to then specify exactly even which content types you want to modify. But let's keep it simple for now. And what we're going to do is give the content editor role access to any content. So create any content on assigned. Now remember this, assigned domains. When we create the user account, that's when we assign the actual domain. Okay. So with this account, okay, we're going to have create content on assigned domain, delete, edit, publish. You don't want this one published to any domain. Again, depends on your logic. It depends on your business logic. Do you want to allow users from any of your affiliate sites to then post to all sites? Again, that's up to you, but I'll keep that unassigned. And then it's view unpublished content. This one's important. I don't know why it has, like, I would honestly think published to any domain is a bit of a warning, requires a warning, but anyway, who knows. View unpublished content on assigned domains, okay? So that means that, so essentially what this means is they will be able to create, edit, delete, and publish and view unpublished content on their own assigned domains. And I do think that is it. Now, luckily, Content Editor has access to everything else, so you want to make sure this is all set up. And you also want to make sure you have the view administration theme. Yes, but that's just standard stuff. And okay, cool. Save permissions. All right. Now, if we go to people, add user, boat editor, and I'll call this one, what am I going to call it? Okay, but editor, give it content editor role, and here we go. Okay, here is what we are after. Domain access. So let's give it access just to the boat site. Important. This is just the boat site. We can give it editor for all affiliates. But then you have domain administrator. This is where they can actually control the domain. We don't want that. Let's just do the boat stuff. So we've done that. Now I can come along in here, log in, go boat editor, test, and we're done. Okay, we're in. We're logged in. Of course, I'm logged in as admin here, but here I'm just logged in as content. Okay, well, content editor. Let's now continue what we were discussing about the send to affiliates. Let me go back here. So where was that? That was up here. All right. Scroll down here. Now, take note. Under domain access, we've selected car. We haven't selected boat, but we have sent to all affiliates. Okay, so we've done that. Now, as an editor, I cannot change this About Us page for the car site because for me to actually get edit access to that piece of content, I need to be given access directly from here. So you need to select boat under domain access. Then click on save. Okay. Then if we click on save and then come back here and refresh, now we have edit access. And we can go ahead and edit it. So there are valid cases where you want somebody with higher level privileges, such as like a main, like feature editor, or somebody like an editor, or somebody that's in charge of content, to send content across all the websites, but you don't want people who only have access to that particular website to modify it. So in this case, this is where you can really just have full control over the content. And this is actually pretty powerful stuff, where you can just send out these type of things. Now, when I was, ranting about, the limitations of just understanding how to use domain access, you can kind of see that if you start requesting customization and things like that, this is where things can get a bit tricky. Yes, domain access works great if you work within its means, and that's important. That's a thing I really recommend you think about whenever you sell this to a customer. You have to train them up on the limitations of it, because they will ask for requirements. They will come to you and say, oh, I want to be able to send content to one particular website, but I don't want these users from this and this and this website to modify this. But oh, I want this editor from this particular thing to modify this, and this. Oh, and then you're gonna think to yourself, why? And then you're gonna start hating Drupal. And then you're going to resent Drupal. And then I come along and join your team, and then people are like, oh yeah, Drupal sucks. It's like, well, no, it's just, I think, yeah, sometimes you can bend Drupal a bit too far. And what is the saying? The final straw, breaks the camel's back. Okay, so that is, an important part to understand. Now, if we come back here, so let me just, can you still see it? Yeah, you can. Okay. So here, this is what you see under domain access, under domain settings, sorry, if you're not an admin. So you can see exactly which sites have access to it, and also what can and can't be changed. So you have all that here. Now, the other thing I want to show you right now is a UI where you can kind of see all the content that is spread across all of the sites, so all of the affiliates and things like that. So let's go back into our primary site and search for domain. And I want to search for domain content. That's it. and click on install. So domain content is an actual submodule that is a helper module, and all it does is that it gives you 2 pages. Now, for some reason, I cannot see this page. Let me just clear the cache. These pages are not visible. Anyway, annoyingly, these pages are not visible through a tab, or maybe I just haven't configured it correctly. Let's have a quick look here. Let's go to configuration, domain settings, no, domain access, no. Anyway, let's go back here. So if you go to admin/content/domain content, you will get this page where you can see a count of all the content and where it's been sent to. So what I'll do is I'll add this to the shortcuts. One of the only reasons I've ever used shortcuts. And what you can do is you can then drill down and filter and say, actually, I want to see all the content that's under car. I can do that. I want to see all the content under boat. I can do that as well. Well, you can then revert as well. Okay, or that's sent under all affiliates. Or I think if you go under car, you can see it there. I do believe if you click on boat, yep, you can see that one. Has it been sent to all affiliates? You can also see that. Now, the other thing you can do is, I believe it's also editors. There you go. This is great for seeing all the user accounts. So if you want to see all the user accounts that have been configured to be sent and access to particular websites, you can do so. And so this is where you can just have a nice group of where you can just see all of your users that are assigned to a particular group. So it's a very useful view. All right, sorry, missed the comment in YouTube. All right, do you have a Slack or Reddit community where we can reach you? That's interesting. Funny you should say that, because I am in the process of actually setting up a community that will be available on community.webwash.net. It's not there now, but it will be a premium community where I will be posting up ad-free all of the videos that are fully ad-free, and then over time I will be cutting them up into shorter videos so you can watch, so you don't get the full hour-long video. But the most important thing is that, yeah, it will be a community where you can log on, watch all the videos ad-free, and then also cut videos as well in like a course format. And most importantly, there will be a forum where you can ask questions and get access to me. And there will also be like private probably live streams as well. I'm just trying to flesh that stuff out, but I am trying to build out a community because I really do enjoy what I'm doing, but I can't keep doing it for free. I need to kind of figure out how to monetize it. And I've got so many ideas and plans on what I can offer. And yeah, but I haven't set that up just yet. So trust me, everyone will know when that's coming out. Because there's also a whole bunch of awesome stuff I want to do around recipes and just, building out pre-built Drupal sites as well. There's a whole bunch of stuff I want to do. Anyway, so in the future, it's coming. All right, so at this point, we've covered setting up the module, doing content access and things like that, and doing the domain access. The other thing I want to show you before we move on to configuring 2 separate websites and just looking at more of the site building is that there are a bunch of blocks that I highly recommend that you have a look at. So if we go to structure, block layout, and click on place block and search for domain. So we have domain navigation, domain server information, domain switcher, domain token information. So these blocks are great for like debugging things. Okay. You could use it to show to the front end, well, to front end users, and you may want to do that, you may not. But this is great for just testing things out and having just information available for your editors, just so that they can see, just so that they can see what's happening. So the best thing to do is I'll just chuck all these in. The first one, domain navigation. This actually gives you a like a navigation list of all of your sites, so your portfolio of sites or all of your domains. The other thing to be aware of is that under visibility settings, you will get this domain plugin here. So you can control any type of block to only be displayed on certain domains. And this has nothing to do with this block. You can actually add this domain restriction to any block. So let's add that one in and click on save. And if we go to the home page, we should see, yep, simple domain navigation that just allows you to switch between them. So in the past, what I've done is I've had this available just for editors where they can just have a little, thing where they can just switch between websites. If we come back here, click on place block, domain, then do server information. And this just displays some server information. Come along in here, and it's just going to give us information about the request. So you can kind of see just a mishmash of information here. So user ID, oh, sorry, no, UUID. Is that the UUID of the user ID? Oh no, that's probably the domain information. It just gives you a nice, it tells you exact match and just information about it. Okay. It's a great debugging tool. Come back here again, search for, where is it? Sidebar, domain, switcher, domain switcher. Scroll down, we can switch between domains. Well, yeah, I mean, that's probably similar to this one. But I guess this domain navigation is probably more for the front end, eh? And then you have that one there. Then we have, well, no, sorry, let's go back here. Where is it? Scroll back up. Search for domain again and token information. So if you're using tokens a lot, you want to make sure that you're getting the right token. Refresh, and then you can see the available tokens right here. Because then these tokens will be available in web form, wherever you use tokens. These will be available here. So these blocks are pretty important, but you want to also control who has access to them. Now, some of these blocks do have specific permissions, so check out the permissions for them. But as I mentioned, you can create a custom block. So if we were to create a custom call to action, let's call this boat call to action. Sign up. I'll do that. Okay, so if we come to the homepage here, we can't see anything in the sidebar, but we've created a block. Now, what we can do is come along in here, block layout, and scroll all the way down to sidebar. And let's search for boat. And then click on boat right there. So we only want it to be displayed on boat. Come along here, refresh, and now we can only see boat there. So that is a good way of just controlling blocks the same way. And I do believe that if we come along in here, let's take a quick look. Where is it? Does it still have the same? Oh, it doesn't have the send to all affiliates. That's fine. Okay. So if you want to, so just understand that this this visibility plugin, because I think in the backend it is a constraint plugin, I believe. Yeah, this can be used on any type of block. All right, one comment from YouTube, but those tokens do not appear in the token browser form. They don't? Interesting. All right, let's test that out. Let's install token. Close that. Composer require Drupal / token. Can I actually see a token browser somewhere without? Oh, I'm trying to figure out. Anyway, let's test it out. That is a good question. Let's go back here. Let's install token. Okay, so test it out. Reports. Token. Where is that token browser? The only way I can think about it is if it's in a URL alias. No, it's not. All right, let's install Path Auto. Because I'm just trying to think. It's like Path Auto. All right. Oh, okay. Yeah, they should appear there, but that is a good question. Let's just double check that, because I don't want to say yes and then find out no. But yes, they should appear there. Well, let me just quickly. What is it? Drush vendor enable path auto. What? That did. Oh, always need to set up my local temp. There we go. Sometimes my local version just doesn't want to connect to the database. All right, done. Done that. Now, if we go to aliases, patterns, create a pattern, and then go content, browse, we should see current domain. I believe this is it. So yes, you will see it right here. So you can see all the domain, the actual tokens for that particular domain. Then you also have default domain as well. There you go. So yes, the tokens do appear. I just want to clarify that. But no, that is a great question. That is a great question. All right. So there we go. All right, let me just quickly remove these because these are going to be very annoying while we do other things. So if you have any questions, please chuck them in while I'm just removing these things. See, this is where having some type of like AI agent that just tell it, can you just clean up and remove the blocks while I'm. Oh, see, that's what somebody needs to do. Needs to develop some type of producer AI agent, because I'm doing this on my own. Somebody that can answer comments, somebody that can do things and change scenes. There you go. There's $1 million business idea right there. All right. Okay, so at this point, we have focused mostly on just the content part. Now let's focus on configuring the site differently, okay? Because you might have noticed that we still have the same site name. So if you go to car, we have a site name of car. If you go to boat, we have the same site name of boat. Now, when I think about it, I probably should have started off with setting up config in the beginning, because it would have been easier if you're watching this. But anyway, hopefully the different color tabs here make it easy to differentiate between the sites. But a common thing you want to do with your website is have different configuration depending on the site. Now, luckily for us, domain allows us to do that. So if we look for another so if you jump into extend and search for domain, you will see this configuration and configuration UI. The configuration UI submodule allows you to override configuration settings. So this is something you want to be switched on. So click on install. And naturally, what you're going to do, well, let me just move this across. Oh, there we go. Just preparing a few things here. So now if we go to configuration, and now under domains, you will see config, domain config forms. Now, what happens is essentially you are enabling a config to be overridden. That's probably the best way of understanding it. Okay, so by default here, you can see that we have admin/appearance and also the site information. So if we go to configuration and basic site information, or sorry, basic site settings, we do get this extra option up the top here where we can control this form for all domains. Then we can override it for specific domains. So this is where, let's say you have 5 domains and you want all of the domains that haven't been overridden to have one name, but then you only want 1 or 2 custom ones. So this is where you will set up all domains to have one bit of configuration, and then the rest are just manually overridden. So let's just keep car as our main default site name. But if I select boat, now I can type in the word boat and I can change anything here. And that configuration will then only appear for the boat site. Click on save. You can see what's been overridden. Come back here, refresh. And now you can see that the name up the top here, boat, has changed. If we go to structure, oh, sorry, no, let's go to appearance. You can see that these options can be overridden based off the domain. But one thing to be aware of is that you cannot configure these options. And I tried it. So if I was to set another theme, say Stark as the main theme, I can't just install it and use this configuration right here. But what we can do is go into settings, and you can see here that this has not been enabled to be overridden. But if we click on enable domain configuration, it's now enabled. And this means that if we go to configuration, so let's go back to configuration, config forms, now we see this path. So it's been overridden. And what we can do is come along in here and add in different logos. So let's do that now. So for car, well, no, actually, let's leave it as all domains. So car will be all domains. And what I'll do is I'll add in. So here I've got a nice little car wash. I don't know. I got these logos off Canva. I just took them off. And click on save. It's gone ahead there. And it's gone ahead and uploaded it. Now, if we go to the home page, and I think we probably need to clear the site cache. It's not working. All right. Now, what we probably need to do is probably set it at the car level. There we go. Let's do that. Go ahead and set it at the car level. All done. And then come along in here. Let's refresh. Let's close that. Still has not set. Why is that not setting? Let's go back here. One of the right one. Let's clear the cache. All right, there we go. Again, caching problems, always a caching problem, and we're set. Now for boat, what we need to do is select boat as our domain. And then choose our nice boat logo. Hit save configuration. And then go ahead. So we've saved the configuration, clear the cache. Then come along in here. And now we have our boat. We can take things one step further. And what we can do is we can come along in here. And let's say, are we on boat? No, we're not. Scroll down and we can change these options. So let's change it to this green, ice, aqua. It's really an aqua color, isn't it? And then come along in here. Now, I do believe we are going to have to clear the cache as usual. Clear it. Refresh. And now we have a different color. So make sure you always install the config module and also the config UI module as well, because it's very useful. It's very useful to use. And I do recommend that you use it and have it available. Now, the final thing we're going to look at tonight is switching different themes. So as I mentioned, having different themes for a website is a common use case when using domain access, because you want a different look and feel. So if we look at here, there is a module called Domain Theme Switch. It's a pretty simple module to use. So all you need to do is go ahead and download it. And it's available for Drupal 11. It's been updated as of December 2nd, 2024. Winner, winner, chicken dinner, eh? That's great. And funny enough, today I actually saw a module that here it said works with Drupal like 10, 11, okay, and then 12. Now, the joke about that being is that as of this recording, 12 hasn't been released. But that is next level thinking. That is forward thinking. So yeah, a module that's available for Drupal 12 that has not been released. All right, another question from YouTube. I have another question. Let's send them more my way. All right, if you don't mind, did you try domain access with multiple language functionality? I was wondering if it's the same process for editing for translations. Huh, yeah. So now I personally haven't used, like if we can make a language available just for one domain name also. That's a good question. Now, I personally have not configured domain access on a multilingual site, so I really couldn't answer that. Generally, there should be support for it, but I personally haven't done that myself, unfortunately. So I really can't answer. But the best thing to do is to test it out. Now, multi-language, multilingual functionality is a very complex thing, and yeah, it's something that I haven't really had to deal with in my career because I've built a lot of just English-based websites. Surprisingly, I have done it a few times, but it hasn't been like where every single website has to have multiple languages, unfortunately. So I really couldn't answer that. But if we take a look at multi domain access, there is, yeah, I mean, test it out. So you will have to give it a go and just test it out. All right, so to get started, just download Domain Theme Switch. So I've already gone ahead and done that. And I will go to, where is it? Here, extend, search for, what is it, theme, and theme switch. Go ahead and switch it on, no pun intended. All right, another question. Is multi-site better for multilingual or multi-language? That's a tough one. I wouldn't say it's better. It gives you more flexibility because when you think about it, from with multi-site, it's you're dealing with two separate databases. So that in itself really removes a lot of complexity. The fact that you're still dealing with um, different databases. So the thing with multi-site to remember is that you have one code base, but multiple databases. And so that in itself just makes life so much easier when it comes to these type of things. But then you have the complexities of dealing with multiple databases, meaning that you can't share content that easily, that you need to essentially update two separate databases whenever there's module updates. Um, so yeah, to answer your question, I would say setting up multi-language sites on a multi-site setup would be easier. But again, it's one of these things that um, you just need to figure out. And when it comes to this type of, proof of concepts or like trying to figure these things out, you have to just go ahead and build it. And that's one thing I often do whenever I have to estimate things in Drupal, because I get often requests. Oh, can you estimate how long is this going to take? And it's like, well, I don't know. It's like, can can we use can we use Drupal to do this, this, and this, and this? Can you give me an estimate, a breakdown, and also tell me exactly how it's done? It's like, oh, well, the only way I can kind of do it is if I start building it out. And so I often ask for, proof of concepts, or I'll go back to the client and say, look, can you give me 10 hours, and I'll go ahead and tell you if it's feasible or not. And then we need to make the decision if it's worth pursuing it. And that's what I recommend in this case. Just go ahead and build it out and have a look and see. Um, but I think coming back to the whole using multi-language websites with domain access, just just try and work within the constraints of the domain module. That's all I'm saying. As soon as you start fighting against it, that's where things start to get tricky, because you do have node level or content level translations, and then you have field level translations as well. You know what? I think I need to do a video on this. Yes, I think I need to do a video on this. Not today or tomorrow. But yeah, that is going to be a good one. Like something, yeah, need to figure this stuff out. It's interesting. Anyway, love these questions. Keep sending them. Keep sending them. All right. So we've installed the domain theme switch module. And to configure it is actually pretty straightforward. Go to configuration, click on domain switch. And here you can see all of your sites. So we have boat, we have car. And then you just specify exactly which site theme and also admin theme. Oh, should have mentioned that. You can specify the admin theme as well. So what we're going to do is let's select, that's for boat. Let's go ahead and enable the Stark theme. So Stark theme is a plain theme with no, Stark theme is an intentionally plain theme with no styles to demonstrate default Drupal's with no styling to demonstrate default Drupal's HTML and CSS. So there you go. So a Stark theme is a Stark theme. It's a naked theme. Well, no, let's not install that. Let's install, no, set as default. Where is this? Set this one as the default, but I want to install Stark, because then what I can do is come along here and I should see it in the dropdown. There we go. So if you don't see a theme here in the dropdown, just make sure it is enabled. First things first. Do that. Site theme name, site theme for domain, and click on Save Configuration. Clear the cache. Now on the home page, we see Good old default theme. Now here we should see my eyes, a Stark. Oh, there we go. We see a Stark theme. Okay, so it's now switched over to the Stark theme. Now, just to make sure that it's not broken, where's the network console? CSS. Is it pulling in? Where is it? Let's turn on performance. Where is it? Here we go. Do that. And now if we go to, wait, there are no styles. So it's not going to pull in anything from Stark. I just want to clarify that it is Stark. No, it is Stark. How can I clarify it is? Oh, no, what I can do is come back here and go to development settings, turn this stuff on, and then it's going to tell me the template. Tell me exactly which template things are coming from. And these are the actual Stark. Well, no, I guess the template. Oh, that's the point. There are no templates because it is literally just the default markup that Drupal gives you. So there you go. So there you go. All right. All right. So that is pretty much it. So just to reiterate what we have covered. If you want to control content based off a domain and share content between multiple websites, if you want to have a portfolio of websites that's all powered from a single Drupal instance, then look at using the domain module or domain access, whatever you want to call it. I still call it domain access. I think it used to be called domain access. And yeah, it's great for this type of setup. Now, as I mentioned in my earlier rants, or my early rant, be very careful about working within the limitations of it. So be careful about it. Just work within it. And setting it up is fairly straightforward. You just want to go ahead and set up domain access, the domain access submodule, set up your domains, set up your roles, importantly, set up the permissions, and then use some of the submodules to configure the sites. And that is about it. All right. One other question from YouTube. All right, for the domain settings, development settings, do they apply on both domains? Yes, they do. Because remember, it is a single website. So that's the thing to really understand. When you're using this module, you still have to think of it as the same website. Really think about it as the same website. So any change you make moving forward is going to affect all of the sites. And this is where clients can sometimes, and I'm going to continue my rant about domain access. This is where sometimes, clients have to be reminded over and over again. It's like, yes, we can put that functionality in, but it's all one website. How, if we build out this functionality on example1.com, how is example2.com going to handle it? And these are the questions you're going to have with the customer about it, that it is the same website. Okay, it is the same website. So when you do want to customize things, have a look and see if there's a module for it. If there is no module for it, you will have to do it through through the actual domain access module. Domain access has its own hook system and services and things like that. So you will be able to customize it. No matter what, you can always write code to work around things. Um, but just, yeah, really understand that even though it feels like two separate websites, it's still the one website, the one database, the one code base. And that works well if if you understand that. Okay, let's finish up. I think that is it. Well, thank you all for joining and asking all the great questions. If you want to learn more about Drupal and other CMSs, head over to webwash.net. If you want to check out all the other videos that I've got on Drupal, or as some people call it, Drupal. I remember one person calling Drush. It's like, oh, I've never heard it pronounced that way. Anyway, head over to the WebWash YouTube channel if you're watching on other streaming platforms, or if you are watching it on YouTube, just click on the live tab and you'll see all of the available live streams. Anyway, that is it from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Okay. Drupal. Yeah. Oh, that's true. That is true. All right, now if yeah, well, if you guys have questions, just shoot them over. Like, I don't have to go straight away. I just like to wrap it all up. Um, yeah, let's have a quick look at I mean, the code. I always like to look at code now. Yeah, but if you guys have any questions, just shoot them over. See, domain access. What is it? Subdomains. Config. Source access. Yeah, you've got a lot of stuff here, a lot of code. I would be curious to see how hard it is. Well, thank you for all the great comments. Thanks for an amazing presentation. Oh, cool. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I do often, I would like to set up this domain site, domain module, and build out some type of SaaS application with Drupal. The only thing is that dealing with payments, I'm not sure if there is an easy way of setting up payments, recurring payments. All right, what did you do to set up a local environment like DDev? Well, I do have DDev installed and I do occasionally use it, but for my local environment, I'm old school and I use MAMP Pro. Now, I've got a reason for that. The reason is because back in the day, Docker used to be very slow on older MacBooks, like really slow. And so using some Docker environment, because DDev is Docker based, was terrible when I was streaming. But now that I've got a faster, but this was not like on the Mac Pro, like the Intel Mac Pros, it was pretty slow. But I feel like MAMP Pro is just that little bit more stable. And what I mean by that is DDev can sometimes just randomly die, in my experience. Well, it's not randomly die. The thing is though, when I'm streaming, I need something rock solid. I don't want to all of a sudden have something break and then midstream and I'm like, I need to fix it up. So MAMP Pro I use because it just works. But there is a thing to set this up on DDev. In the README, there was actually something about it. It's it here. No, somebody's got actual. Oh, okay. Somebody's got a quick start, getting started guide, a quick getting started for DDev. Let's have a quick look at this. No, so this is using DDev, and you can set yourself up to contribute to the project. It's a nice and quick and easy way. Yeah, see, I played around with all these like to speed up the mounting between the guest and host on Macs. Yeah. Anyway. All right. Oh, let me just finish up then. Hope everyone enjoyed it. Hope we all learned something new. And oh, I forgot to mention that this oh, feel terrible now. I did forget to mention that, yeah, this this particular topic was inspired because there was a comment on LinkedIn about domain, about this module. Yes. I was curious. Okay, another question. I was curious on how did you set up locally, and like for a beginner, if it's complicated or not. Oh, it's not that complicated. The only thing is that wherever you host, when setting it up locally, however you're hosting your local site, all you need to do is be able to point two domains to the same doc root or the same instance of Drupal, and that's it. Maybe have a look at this. Maybe have a look at this DDev repo, so you can actually get access to it. Oh, let me just chuck it in YouTube. Where is it? Let me just pop it in here. There you go. I'll just chuck it in there. This repo is specifically for setting up DDev locally and testing out the module. So yeah, give that a go. See how it goes. So yeah, no, it works. It works pretty well. It works pretty well. All right, cool. All right, well, everyone have a great evening and a great weekend. And if you're on holidays or vacation or whatever you want to call it now, because there is like a shutdown period for a lot of companies, enjoy your time off. And yeah, I need to now prepare for the new year and what I'm going to be talking about. And remember, Drupal, what is it? Drupal CMS getting released 15th of January. I'm thinking I might just have a full live stream for that. Just turn the stream on and just waffle on about how great Drupal is and just play around with it. Yeah, happy holidays as well. All right, cool. Take care all. And if you have any questions, just leave them on this video, because this video will then become the main video, and then just chuck your comments in there. Cool. All right, take care. See you later. Bye-bye.